everyone.
Hi.
We're here with Athena Clark, of course, the amazing candidate for Brooklyn, for New York City Council, Brooklyn District 46. And we're sitting outside the historic White Horse Tavern around the corner from the Board of Elections, where we just had a really, truly shocking, unconstitutional, unlawful, severely traumatizing experience. Athena, why don't you just launch right in?
So we went to the Board of Elections. Dr. Naomi suggested that we're entitled to a 3% hand counting, right?
That's right.
Hand count, and I needed to be present as the candidate. It's easier for them to speak to us if I was there. However, it doesn't seem like my presence made that much of a difference because ultimately, um, it didn't. It wasn't started, right?
Oh, and you're being much more polite. She's so diplomatic. I mean, this was an absolute, I'm trying not to use bad language, but an S show.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And they're not very kind at the Board of Elections, and they're very scared to speak with you. And with anything, they ultimately just like to hand you documentation.
Show the nonsensical documents. So, I'm
like that.
I'm going to go. Can I just go a little chronologically? Yes. So you guys who are tuning in when I started to broadcast from within the Board of Elections, which I have every legal right to do, it's a public agency. It's paid for by our tax dollars. There's no expectation of privacy. Our signal unexpectedly went right out, and we were no longer able to broadcast. By the way, when I was broadcasting, a security guard kept passing back and forth menacingly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't think he wanted to. I think everyone there was secretly on our side.
Yeah.
Except the staffers were freaking out. But
yep.
We were, Athena and I were both standing firm. She's such an amazing leader. As this security guard was like menacingly crossing back and forth. It was like something from a thriller set in the Soviet Union of back and forth, back and forth. Anyway, some of the key takeaways from my perspective, and then I want to turn it over to Athena again, are, I was starting to explain to you, oh, how interesting, the Department of Transportation is parked right outside where we're broadcasting. I'm sure I'm just in traumatized mode and overrating everything. To me, the biggest takeaway of this morning, I saw on the way to the Board of Elections that on the Board of Elections website, the numbers are not official.
Yeah.
To me, this is one of the biggest deals. The whole news media is announcing that Zohran Mamdani won New York, and for instance, that Athena, lost to Mercedes Narcisse, and other city council races overwhelmingly lost by Republicans, overwhelmingly won by Democrats, almost every one. And A, the Board of Elections doesn't show any of the city council races on their website. None of them. None. B, when you look at, and I posted this online, but you can go look right now while I'm reporting this. When you look at the city council website, it says unofficial numbers.
Yeah.
So where are the official numbers? I'll get to that. So the race hasn't been called. We don't know who won. New York City. We don't know if Athena lost her race or won her race. And other key takeaways, I'm not imagining that. When I was talking to Pete Homburg, the manager of the New York Board of Elections, who initially got very angry at me because I was recording. Then when he found out who I was, I identified myself. He said, oh, I love your work. I respect you so much. I'm really impressed. I really admire you. Then when he refused to allow me to initiate my 3% hand count audit, which is my right per New York state law, he got very upset and angry again. And then finally he fled.
He did.
And he fled without giving you, Athena, your file, which
yes.
you are by law entitled to, all the documents related to her campaign. She's entitled by law to receive. They belong to her. He wouldn't give them to her. Let's hold up the ridiculous form he gave her to fill out where she has to itemize what she wants. No, by law, he has to give her all of her records. And absolutely everyone refused to allow me to start what I'm allowed to require by law, which is the 3% audit.
And they told you to sit in.
And now,
audit.
Thank you. So I was But before I talk about that, I just want to note that Pete Homburg confirmed that those are not official numbers, that the count is not in. They're still counting.
Yeah.
The vote is not official. You guys, they buried the lead, as we say in journalism. The vote is not official. The tally is not confirmed for New York. And I said, when will it be confirmed? December. What are they doing? What's happening? It's electronic. What are they doing? So it's, to me as a journalist, this is so shocking, everybody, because the entire news media has announced that Zoran Mamdani won, and for instance, Athena Clark lost her race. We don't know that. We don't know who won. These are unofficial numbers. We can't check them. We can't look at them. Now, to what Athena said. The other extraordinary, and by the way, they're unofficial numbers with only 97% of the vote counted. So, and the other thing that I brought up is that Mamdani was allowed to have his name on the ballot twice in two different parties, and Athena Clark was prevented. The Democrats went after her legally to prevent her from having her name on the ballot twice in two different parties. So that's totally unfair. And then the last thing I'm going to say to recap at the expense of being a little repetitive is, to me, as someone who works with government data, the fact that Zoran Mamdani's name was on the ballot twice and he won by 8%, which is that Working Families Party amount, says to me, how did they count those ballots that had people voting for Mamdani twice? Because intuitively, that's what you would do. If you want to vote for Mamdani, you see his name twice, many people will mark it twice. How did the machine scan those ballots? 8% of Mamdani's total, which would make the difference between winning and honestly virtually losing to Cuomo, neck and neck with Cuomo otherwise. And we don't know the answer because we're not allowed to see the algorithm. We're not allowed to clearly file the 3% hand count. We don't know the answer. So the machine could easily be programmed to scan every time someone votes for Mamdani, which would literally account for that 8% advantage over his rival. So these are huge questions that completely invalidate the conclusion that Mamdani won and, for instance, Athena lost. We don't know, right? We literally don't know. So now tell us about the audit that they said they were going to have.
Ultimately, they said that they do a citywide audit. It happens automatically, and you can sit in on the audit as it's happening. And they don't say that it's a hand-counted audit. It can be electronic. So is it really a valid audit?
Yeah. Can I jump in and
Please,
add more?
yeah.
See, you're so much nicer than I am. You give these people so much more of the benefit of your doubt. I'm so irate. I feel like I was literally in an office.
Well, you were there longer than I was, so dealing with it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just sadder and more cynical too, and older and sadder, and
maybe.
I mean, it's like it felt like the Soviet Union in there. They were, first of all, these poor people at the front desk. There was a camera right over them,
watching their every move,
as well as watching our every move.
Yeah,
they warned us. Someone warned us at one point that there were cameras watching.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Pete Homburg said there's
I think he said it because he knew he couldn't say whatever he needed to say.
Is that why?
Yeah, I don't think it was for us. I think it was more for him.
Oh, because
the camera's there. I gotta watch.
That's why he threw a tantrum and stormed off for the camera, because he was very flat. The mic is muted, oh dear.
I fixed it.
Okay, thank you. That's really interesting. Well, I felt like it was a little bit intimidating to us.
It was.
Because he was like, there are cameras watching. I'm like, I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm here. I'm here pursuing my what's legally provided for by New York state law. And so what you really need to understand is it wasn't just Pete Homburg who was sent out, the manager, to give us non-answers and then explode and storm off, which is really something. I mean, as Athena and I were just saying inside the White Horse Tavern, if there's nothing to hide, why are they throwing tantrums?
Yeah, just give us what we're asking for,
which is public record.
Public record. We just want to see what happened and make sure everything is viable, like they said.
Yeah.
But if you
especially
forget about
these
it,
are unofficial numbers.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? If they don't release the official numbers and regular people aren't going to request it, so then even if I did win, I would never know.
I would never know.
I would never know.
I mean, something amazing that came out in this lunch is you haven't been given anything official saying you lost your race.
No.
And have you been given anything official saying your opponent, Mercedes Narcisse, won her race?
Nothing.
So we literally don't know who won officially. It hasn't been declared, as we say, in your race, which probably means none of the city council races have been declared.
No, no one I've known, not Brooklyn Borough president, no one received anything.
Oh my
We're
God.
just assuming we lost.
That's shocking. That's shocking. Yeah. And the numbers are not on the website.
No.
And Pete Homburg confirmed that these are unofficial numbers.
Yes.
They're not final numbers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's so much here. So this is the other extraordinary thing we went through. And I think it was so stateswoman-like, and I was like so infuriated. But I think I didn't lose my temper.
No, you didn't. You were pleasant. I was like, ooh, girl power.
They thought I was pleasant. So the extraordinary thing is they didn't send out the press officer to answer my questions as a reporter. They didn't send out anyone to take my trigger for the 3% hand count as a citizen. What they sent out was their lawyer.
Yes.
But it wasn't my lawyer as a New York City voter. He didn't represent me. No. And I don't even know how this is legally possible. He said he represented the Board of Elections.
Yes.
How do you represent the Board of Elections, but you're not representing the voters of New York?
I have no idea.
That doesn't make sense, and that's very dodgy. What is the Board of Elections? I want to find out what its legal status is. Is it like a third-party NGO that has no responsibility to New York voters? Seriously. This was the situation with the Electoral Commission in Britain when we looked into it. Mm-hmm. They literally had no real authority. It was like a third party which had no legal obligation to tell the truth. But anyway,
that might be the truth. That might be the truth.
I mean, why do they have their lawyer there trying to defend their client and they don't engage? So that's a really important question. Who is the Board of Elections? But leaving that aside for now, I kept asking Eric Bukowski. Sorry. I kept asking him, this young lawyer, who is not our lawyer, he kept saying there's going to be an audit. It's automatically triggered. There's going to be an audit. She can watch the audit. They'll audit each, district, he said, on a different day.
Yeah.
Of course, there's no public announcement of that on the website now, even though it's a public event affecting the public vote. And I kept saying, you keep saying it'll be an audit. The law compels a hand count of the paper ballots, 3%. Will you be hand counting? Or are you comparing electronic data to electronic data, which is pointless? And he refused to answer. He gave me, and I was recording this. I'm going to see if it's legal for me to post it. I didn't mean to record it. I thought I turned my recorder off. Really, I did. I'm not lying. I really thought I turned my recorder off. It happened to record it. Okay. I hope I don't get assassinated between now and the time I
No.
But I can tell you verbally. I'm allowed to tell you verbally. And he didn't say don't record me, by the way.
He didn't.
No. But the lawyer, Eric Bukowski, said no. He didn't say no. He kept not answering, but not confirming there would be paper ballots. I could not get him to say on the record there would be paper ballots. No. He refused in a million different lawyerly ways to say there were paper ballots. So they're not obeying the law if they don't have paper ballots. He won't confirm that there are paper ballots. I just want to turn the camera to show this thing.
Maybe coincidence.
Totally coincidence. Just like our Wi-Fi going off.
No, the Wi-Fi was definitely perfect.
Right. That could well be coincidence. But he wouldn't confirm. And so what I gather they're doing is not obeying the law, and they're going to have electronic checking. And as I keep saying, you can do anything with electronic data. I run a tech company that handles government data. I can literally say to my developer, go into the back end of our website, which handles government data, and make these changes. And with literally a username and a password, he can go in and make those changes. It's so easy. You can have someone in China or someone in Russia go with a username and password, go in and make changes. So it is theater to have an audit in which it's digital versus digital. If we can't see the code and we can't see the tape. So that's our update. And please say more if there's anything that I missed. Or, and you, what are you supposed to do? Where's your stuff? Like, you're the candidate.
So we requested all of my documentation for my entire candidacy, and I have to fill out a form in order to get it, which doesn't make sense because I'm there. You should just ask for my ID and maybe where to send it. But they make everything impossible, basically to get you frustrated and ultimately give up so that you won't get what it is that you're asking for. So whatever it is that they're hiding or that they didn't do, they don't want the general public to know. And it's really disheartening, especially as people who are trying to run for office, that's trying to make changes. And it's basically saying like, well, we don't care what you guys want. This is how it's going to go. And that's how it felt.
How do you feel? You're young, right? You're like very young. You're in your 30s. Right?
I am. Okay. Very young.
And just to recap for people who you are, or let them know if they haven't followed you yet.
Oh, so I am Athena Clark. I was running for city council in Brooklyn, District 46. And the reason I was running is because I was already slighted by the government. I said no to the COVID mandate. I'm a special education teacher. And when I said no, I was terminated without due process. And I started to run in order to change the legislation to protect working class citizens who are trying to make a living and raise their family ultimately. And once again, I had another door shut and slammed in my face.
Yeah, but as I was saying at lunch, I literally started tearing up at lunch.
She did.
I did, because like this is how America should work, right? An idealistic young person from the community like Athena Clark, believed in the system, and she didn't sit around complaining. She did what our founders asked. She ran for office to represent her community and to serve the people of New York. She shouldn't have the experience of then going to the Board of Elections and being treated like we're living behind the Soviet Union wall, behind the Iron Curtain. Our systems should, if she lost, she should know she lost fair and square. Yeah. If she won, she should be, talking to her transition team right now. Mm-hmm. We don't know. And this shouldn't, I literally teared up because she did all the right things. And this shouldn't happen in America. This shouldn't be her experience. Even if she lost, she should have an experience of the system worked, I'll either do something else or I'll regroup and run again. But literally the message to her is, it doesn't matter what you did, and that doesn't matter who voted for you. Yeah. And the message to me is, it doesn't matter that you're a tax-paying citizen of New York City with constitutional rights. We're going to ignore all your constitutional rights. We're going to ignore state law. We're going to put up 1,000 nonsensical digital bureaucratic barriers. I like, for instance, Nina, there was a press officer inside. Hello. That was fast. Yeah. There was a press officer inside the door, and initially Pete Homburg said he would get the press officer. By the end of our tormented visit to the Board of Elections, everyone was saying there is no press officer, and Pete Homburg is too busy to see you again. And I'm like, I'll wait as long as it takes. They're like, he'll always be too busy. Yeah, pretty much. And then they gave me an email that said like, press. Yeah, it wasn't a real name. It's not a real name. I'm like, who's the press officer? They're right through that door. I'm press. I'm a journalist. No, you don't get to know who the press officer is. So in every way, this was a thoroughly fascistic or totalitarian experience. In every way, it's really scary because it means we literally don't know who won New York City elections. Probably since 2005, if not earlier, since the machines have been in place. Anyway, that's my summary of our experience. It's not ending here. I'm going to find a lawyer and take this all the way to the Supreme Court as a voter because I have the right to initiate a hand count, and they're refusing, they're refusing to give me my constitutional rights to be represented. So I've won big lawsuits recently before. I'm going to win this one against the Board of Education. They're going to give me a giant settlement, or else, elections. I'm sorry. That was a slip. And but we've got to change New York law so that these people are not the mafiosa-like gatekeepers.
That's what it feels like.
So anyway, I've talked enough. Why don't you just process your feelings?
So ultimately, I am a little concerned now that none of the results are up. We don't know what really happened, what the real numbers are. I'm not a sore loser, so I'm okay if I didn't win. But like Dr. Naomi said, just knowing what the percentages are, who did vote for me, it would be nice to just know where you stand and where to move forward. It's hard to move forward when you don't know exactly what's happening. And as we were watching the watch party, my husband turned to me and he said, why aren't the numbers moving? The numbers didn't move anymore. They just stayed for the next 2-3 hours the way they were. So did they just stop counting? Like, what happened with that?
Can you say more about, let me chime in there if I may, and then I want you to say more about that. Brian and I were watching the numbers at about 8 o'clock. They just stopped moving organically. Brian pointed out a lot of races were neck and neck, city council races, and then it was like 85%, 85%, 85%, 85% Democrat to Republican, and they stayed that way. You know, they just stayed. Is that what you're talking about? You saw that too?
So, sorry. For my race, it didn't even go to 85%. It was like, I was at like 28, 29, and then it was where my opponent was, and then it just didn't move after that. It just literally stayed. Every time the screen came back on, that's what it was. That was what was being said.
That's not what real numbers do.
No, and so it was like either my numbers are supposed to go up or they go down because her numbers are going up, but it didn't move. It just stayed the same for the rest of the night.
That's right. They were static. They were static for like an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching and thinking, how are the numbers static? Is this like a digital glitch? But machine counting, you guys, like this is the industry I'm in with Daily Cloud. Machine counting doesn't have glitches like that. It keeps counting, right? Unless the whole system is down, which is a whole other problem. Digital counting keeps counting. And the other thing is, digital counting is instantaneous. So why are we waiting
3 hours?
No, not just 3 hours. A month
for the
official numbers. What's holding up the release of the numbers? What are they doing in this month? Right? What are they creating? What are they backdating?
Mm-hmm.
What are why do you need a month?
I don't know.
Digital counting. There's no rationale for it.
That's weird. That's the easiest way to say it.
So what happened was there more about the numbers just not moving, or
the numbers just didn't. It got to midnight and we left, and we were just like, okay. So once we saw those numbers, that was like, okay, so you lost. But when we left, there was no declaration because my husband went to bring the car out front, and he said, well, was she declared the winner?
Right.
And I said, no, she wasn't. The only declaration I saw officially was for George Sematopoulos, and that they declared Zoran won like an hour or two earlier.
Declared? Because there's a difference.
The news, I guess.
Well, let's see. You guys, I really want you to know the difference about this. And I don't mean to be didactic at all. But it's really evil that we have a culture in which the media says, I'm calling it, or we're calling it for this or that candidate. That is totally meaningless. It has zero legal meaning. They can call it for Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. It just means they are making a call. It's an estimate, or it's their best.
Yeah, they just looking at the numbers.
There's nothing official about that. And now we know the numbers we're working with aren't even official numbers. So they could be calling it on imaginary numbers. And, you know, by the way, before you call me a conspiracy theorist, we've seen these imaginary numbers in the lockdowns and the pandemic, right? There was so much fake data going. I mean, it's kind of a separate but related issue. A lot of official websites were using really fake data. You know, CDC was using fake data. They were outsourcing their data. So this question of data integrity is very germane, and it's not like it hasn't happened before. We've just come through 5 years of fake data. So they didn't call it. You haven't gotten anything saying Mercedes Narcisse, your opponent, actually officially won. I think you guys should send a lawyer's letter to Mercedes Narcisse asking for a formal, official proof that she won, or a declaration that she won legally on the record. Because right now, as a journalist, I'm just stunned. We don't have any official records. Any official records. You said George was declared the winner or the loser. If that's media, that's still not official. Yeah. I don't see it on the Board of Ed website. And the manager of the Board of Elections, Peter Hamburg confirmed to me that these are not official numbers.
Yeah.
So New York, we don't have a winner. We don't have a winner. We don't have a winner for the city, for the mayor. We don't have an official winner. We don't have a winner or official winners for the city council race. We don't have official losers. We don't know. And they're not letting us see the data. They're refusing to perform an audit. Say anything else you want to say? Like that you have many people who love you around the country and around the world.
Well,
don't want you to vanish. But
I'll say thank you. Thank you to everyone for all of your support, all the kind words I received on Twitter. It's called X now. On X, Instagram, Facebook. I really appreciate it. You guys don't even know like what those words mean to me, especially as someone who's never done this before, never thought that I would be in a position to do this, but I do feel so blessed to have done it. I will not go away. I don't know in what capacity I will be available in, but I'm figuring it out with my family and my friends and the support of people like Dr. Naomi. And again, just thank you guys so much, and we'll definitely keep you abreast on what's going on with these election numbers.
Thank you. Thank you for being such a fighter. I think you know, I'm just really getting chills. I mean, I can't believe that in the United States of America, we have to have someone being brave and stoic and uncompromising just to do what our founders told us we should do. But I think you're demonstrating integrity and courage for a lot of people. And as I've said to you before, we don't know how that will play out. And you know, you have a big life ahead of you. You have a big career ahead of you. And I think you're going to keep inspiring people in whatever way.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah. All right, thank you, everyone. We'll keep you posted.
Bye, guys.
Remember, you got to support independent media. If you
Yes,
want
you
people
do.
to put their lives on the line and
Yeah.
go get harassed by the Board of Elections, you've got to support Daily Clout and go over and support Outspoken on Substack. And I would say support Athena Clark, although there's no concrete way to do that now. But maybe, are you still taking like emails? Or?
No, definitely.
Okay. So
I
Clark
read
for
them
Council
all.
is still up?
Clark for Council is still up. Everything Clark for Council is still up. I haven't taken anything down here or renamed it.
Okay, wonderful. So, you know, send her your email, and we don't know what shape this movement will take next, but you can be sure we're going to keep fighting for New York City and for America. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.